Today I'm going to use Gemini CLI for the first time and use a Gemini CLI extension called Nanobanana to create and edit images. I submitted a talk to DevFest Hong Kong where I used Angular and Firebase AI Logic and Nanobanana to generate, edit, and restore images. I'm proud of it, but then I found out that this extension, like Nanobanana, can do the same thing with with one command. I'm like, my app is not impressive enough, and I want to add something that the extension doesn't offer later on, so that I have more materials to present to my audience next month. So let's look at the Gemini CLI extension Nanobanana. It needs a Nanobanana Gemini API key that we can go to AI Studio to create. And if this environment variable is not available in .env, this extension looks for the fallback API key, Gemini API key, and if Gemini API key also doesn't exist, then well, we cannot run this extension. But this extension is very simple comparing with other Google extensions such as Firebase and Jenkins. It has a couple of files, and the most important one is actually imageGenerate.ts. This imageGenerate.ts uses the Gemini API to request Nanobanana to create an image from text or to edit an image in order to generate a new one. So we can go to mcp-server folder to have a quick schemes of the source files. So we are in a mcp-server folder, and we have 4 files. So let's do a quick introduction to them. So types.ts define a lot of interfaces, and these arguments are the command line arguments that we are going to type, like in the terminal, in order to generate images. So this story sequence argument interface is used by the story command or the generate story tool to generate multiple images in order to establish a story. So icon prompt art define the arguments needed to generate a pattern. So they are very important. Without them, I cannot define the values to go into imageGenerator.ts to generate images. Index.ts has some helper functions or private functions to build prompts and then pass the prompt to imageGenerator file to generate images. So in this private tool handlers function, we have a lot of tools. So the generate image tool generates an image. Edit image is another tool to accept a file and some informations to construct a prompt, and then this tool passes the image and the prompt to imageGenerator file in order to create a new file based on the provided image. Generate icon tool uses the text to image technique to generate an icon from a prompt. Generate pattern similar, except it generates a pattern instead of an app icon. Generate story is slightly different. It's because this tool allows people to provide the number of images to create. So it can it is more than one. We can create 2 images, 4 images, or the maximum 8 images to develop a story, right? Or tutorial, or I don't remember the other. A process and timeline. Generate a diagram. Oh, this is fun. I used this tool to generate a diagram of a Google ADK multi-agent architecture diagram. And yeah, wait. Oh, where's the tool that do restoration? There is one. Let me find it. Generate icon. Ah, yes. This restore image tool accept an image and a prompt to restore an old photo back to its original quality. So I can provide a black and white image and ask this restore image tool to make it a picture image. So these are all the tools that the Nanobanana extension can do, and this is an impressive list. Okay, finally we are in the image generator file that handles image editing and image creation. So in this file, 3 methods do the work, like generate text to image, generate story sequence, and edit image methods. So generate text to image accept at least one prompt in order to create an image. I set at least one prompt because the command or the tool can accept multiple styles and variations. So if I have m styles and n variations, so the number of prompts is at least m times n. So this generate text to image method like text in a list of prompts and ask Nanobanana model to generate the images and write the images to the Nanobanana output directory. So the generate image tool, the generate icons, generate pattern, generate diagram tools, they all use this method to generate the images. Then the generate story sequence method is used by the story tool. So this method accepts steps, so that determines the number of images to create. So this method can create multiple images for a story, tutorial, process, and timeline to explain an idea or tell a story about a specific theme, right? And then the last method is edit image. So this method takes an image and one prompt in order to create a new image from the image that the user gives. So edit image and restore image tool. Call this method to edit the provided image to make a new one. And the prompt is actually created in index.ts. So build icon needs to perform some logic in order to create a prompt to generate an app icon or fav icon. And the generate pattern tool also has a private function to build a prompt to generate a pattern. with high quality and tile size. So this extension is not very complicated. So if we follow the guide to make a Gemini CLI extension, and we know basic TypeScript and Node.js, we can build like some simple Gemini CLI extension and run it locally with Gemini CLI. Okay, so let's start the Gemini CLI and specify the model. I want to use Gemini 2.5 Flash instead of the default Gemini 2.5 Pro. It's running. And do I want to connect VS Code to Gemini CLI? No, because I only want to use the extension to generate images. It has nothing to do with code generation and stuff, so I don't need VS Code for this purpose. And then let's start with the first case, generate images. I can generate maybe Tokyo skytree without other arguments, so it should generate one image with the default style and variation. Allow once, and it is working. So the image is generated in here, one image. Now I want to generate multiple images, and I need to specify -- count. So the extension knows I want to generate 4 images. Why I choose 4 is because I have one style and 2 variations. Let me find variation. So season have 2 possible values, spring and winter. Time of day also has 2 different times, sunrise and sunset. So 2 times 2 times 1 is 4. So I asked Gemini model to generate 4 images with different combinations. So let's create 4 images of the famous Tokyo skytree. Yes. It's running. Yep, styles, animate, prompt, something, and the rest is not shown. Okay, 4 images were created successfully. Let's see. Okay, this is anime style winter. This is anime style in springtime. Freak. Okay. Anime style at sunrise. And this one is anime style and sunset. So 4 images. So let's clean up my output folder. Now this case, I want to try 3 styles and 1 variant. So 3 times 1 is 3. So let's generate 3 images of a dog that is eating a bone next to his doghouse. So one should be an oil painting, one should be a sketch, and the last image is a watercolor painting. So 3 images are generated. The names are not duplicated, so we don't have to worry about overwritten files or oil paint. This one is a sketch. The last one is watercolor. So this is the first use case. So now I want to use other commands to generate image. So there is a pattern command to generate patterns. So I want to generate geometric triangles. So this is the diagram. Now I want to generate an app icon of two brown baseball bats that form a X sign. This is the app icon. Next, I want to use the diagram command to generate diagrams. So this one is a simple diagram of the mcp-server architecture. So this is the mcp-server architecture. And I can change the complexity from simple to detail to generate a multi-system, multi-agent system architecture that is built with Google ADK. So this is the Google ADK multi-agent system architecture diagram. And the diagram command is more useful than the icon and pattern commands because it can generate flowchart, architecture, network, database, wireframe, mind map, sequence diagrams. So let's generate a database diagram of a user registration system. So this is the database diagram. So I basically sum up all the commands that can generate images. Next, I want to show some examples of the edit image command and the restore image command. So next, let's use the edit command to edit this image. I want to create a 3D model from this 2D image. So this is the model, the box, and the image on the computer screen. Next, I want to create a image where the 2D map is converted into 3D building. So this is a input file. This is a Google map of Taipei. And I also add -- preview so that the image automatically opens in preview mode. So far, I have to manually open the image, and it is getting very tedious. So I want the tool to preview the image automatically, and the image is here. Very nice. Or this one. So colorize an image is a specialized case of add the image. It uses the restore command to make the black and white image into a color one. So this is the black and white image with 3 zebras. So let's remove all the scratches, enhance detail, and correct the colors. Are we done? Where is it? This color is not colored. Why is that? Let's try again. This is the color image. So it looks pretty cool. Next, I want to call the story command to generate a story. So the story has 4 images, 4 separated images. The layout is comic layout. The style is consistent, which is the default value. And let's do it. So unlike the other commands, this command can output more than 1 image. But this command is very buggy. So in my test, I asked Nanobanana to generate 4 images. Sometimes it generated 2 images. Sometimes it generated 3 images. Generating 4 images was close to impossible. I only made it work 1 out of, I don't know, 20 times. One, two. Oh, it worked. Amazing. Okay, I need to shut up now because the story command actually worked and generated and 4 images for me. Let's see what happened. This is image number 1. The knight tries to slay an evil dragon. Number 2, they have a fierce battle. Number 3, the dragon is killed. 4, there's a rainbow. The knight and the horse survive, and the villagers are happy, and the land is back to peace. So this is my demo of the story command, and this is also the demo of the Nanobanana extension. If you find it useful, or if you are curious what it can do, please try to install it in your local Gemini CLI and play with these commands using different prompts and arguments. So this is the end of my video. I hope you enjoy it, and have a good weekend. Bye bye.